Good afternoon. After so many tries, we finally are having this conversation.
No, I know, and I'm dressed for the occasion. I'm actually wearing this cap. I've never wore a cap for an interview, but I'm wearing the cap because we're talking about music and I have to look the part.
Now I feel like I should I don't know, should I be wearing a bandana?
I think you should.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much for joining us.
Yeah.
How's the lockdown treating you?
I am honestly kind of sick of it. I'm an introvert, so I'm good being indoors, but I hate being indoors, like not by choice. But I'm lucky because I have a lot of work to do, so I'm able to stay busy with many different things. So it's not too much, but it's annoying actually.
You're known for poetry. I remember attending the Arcade Festival 2 years ago, and every single person there, all the big names were like had Logan on their lips. Oh, Logan February is going to perform. The 19-year-old is about to perform. Oh my God, Logan February. And then you were so chill because I remember having
19-year-old.
I remember interviewing you and you were just really chilled. I'm like, okay, okay. But have you navigated the fame you have in the literary space and being young? Because you're young and there are lots of expectations from you. And because you have this level of fame, people still have high expectations of you regardless of your age. How have you navigated that?
It's a fascinating question because I think that I myself had a lot of expectations from myself from a young age. So I didn't start out, I didn't ever really start off feeling like I was young. I actually feel younger now than I did when I was like 15 or 16. So that's been a weird, sort of interesting approach that I come into my poetry with. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I have to admit that there is a level of fame and acclaim that has come with my poetry, which is strange. And, yeah, I guess it's a new thing every day. I just try to focus on the work. Like being Logan February means I'm writing a lot. I almost overwork myself because I just like to stay busy. That's more important for me than everything else. Like it's nice to be able to connect with people and nice to know that people are reading the work, but I don't get too consumed in that. I do my own part of it, and everything else is you don't know what will happen when you send anything into the world, so you just have to deal with whatever comes.
I smiled when you smiled when I called you a brand, and then you're like a brand, and you were like, don't you see yourself as a brand?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like we live in an age where everything ends up being a brand when there's any kind of consistency to it, because that's just the way we see things now. But I don't see myself as a brand, no. I see sometimes it feels like Logan February is a not a persona in the sense that it's completely different from me, but it's a persona in the sense of how I step into my artist self. But I don't see that as a brand. I see it more like as a facsimile of something that I'm not always as courageous to be in everyday life, I guess.
For you, now moving into music, now creating music, you've got 2 songs, and I remember checking your post on your birthday, and you said it's been a long time coming. How long has it been?
Well, the interesting thing is I'm not going into music. I don't think I am anyway. But the idea is that I've always written music. Even before I ever wrote a poem. Throughout secondary school, I was writing songs. I would write songs in the back of my notebooks, even on my exam sheets sometimes. I was a lyricist before I was a poet. And over time, I guess I just sort of repressed it, kind of, because when I was in school, there were all these campus musicians, and I joined one of the bands and I tried to do music. I actually got a record deal, but then I chickened out. I just felt like it was too much for me. So I just went under the radar because I felt like writing poetry, I could do everything from behind the scenes. I could stay behind my laptop, behind my phone, everything, and get things done rather than being a musician and having to perform. I'm not very much of a performer. Um, so yeah, it's been a long time coming in the sense that I've even written. I had a record deal when I was 17, and I wrote an EP, but then in the middle of production, I just like cut cut it off. But I
What was
didn't
that?
stop. Why? I just didn't. I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't ready. I felt like my mental health wasn't in the place where I could handle that kind of stuff, and I just wanted to focus on myself. And actually, I think part of it was also I wasn't sure I was making the kind of music that I wanted to make because it's a bit difficult to find like ideal collaborators for me. So yeah, but I never stopped writing. I just always wrote stuff. Sometimes I'll just write things and send them to someone. So I've actually come into the songwriter space more than a singer. I want to write songs for other people. I'm not sure I want to do them for myself. Poetry started out as something I used to do for fun, and over time it became work. Um, like I just my life alternates between being a student and being a writer, and both of those things feel like work. And so I just felt like at some point, what am I doing just like for the fun of it? So I just thought, like, why not just put out the music just to be like it. It's a great excuse to just have your 21st birthday and do something ridiculous. I think so. That was really the motivation for that.
I like how you make it sound like you did it because of people, but at the end of the day, you're still telling stories that were particular to you, that your own stories, I believe.
In the music, you mean?
Yes. What type of
No.
stories were you trying to portray with the music?
That's the thing. I think that writing across mediums is so beautiful because you don't have to write the same way, but you can write with the same mind. Um,
Okay.
so a lot of the music that is written, like a lot of the songwriting, is actually inspired by stuff I was reading as a poet.
Okay.
Like critical theories and classical theories of desire, for instance. So these things are kind of like universal. Like everyone experiences feelings like this, and I couldn't really
Mm-hmm.
write them in poetry. Or when I tried to write them in poetry, I guess they felt like if you're writing a poem about desire, it takes a lot for it to feel genuine and for it to feel new because everyone kind of writes around that theme. So I had been frustrated with everything I've been trying to write in that regard. But both songs are not like about my life. Like they're written in persona. They reach out of myself, which is something I'm always excited to do. They reach out of myself and just like, I mean, some of them are based on situations I might have found myself, but they're not like specific to me at all. I actually feel like if I were I feel like the character in the songs is a bit annoying. I try to, listen to artists like Robin and ABBA who make really great pop songs about complicated feelings. Um, I thought it was really cool to be able to work in those, like the desire and the frustration, but to also make it like flirtatious and to make it fun. So that was the inspiration behind that. But then like games, for instance, was actually inspired by a Black Mirror episode. Um, so I saw this Black Mirror episode. I think it was season what season are they on now? Five. I think it was season five, episode one. Um, yeah, and it was this episode about like two roommates who would play a game and they could go into the game, and then when they were in the game they weren't themselves, and so things were complicated. And so I just thought that was fascinating, and I just wrote because I was reading like again about like the tactics and ruses that apply in space of writing about desire. So it was just an experiment that turned out really well.
How's the
Yeah, I can hear
reception
you.
been like? I remember how we were supposed to have this conversation last week on your birthday on Friday. Um,
Yeah.
but then, but then we had to move it because it wasn't listed on certain platforms, and you wanted it to be listed first before you had the conversation. So,
Yeah.
how's the reception been like since you dropped the music on Monday?
The reception has been incredibly good. So the thing is that I'm more interested in um, reaction than reach with these songs. I'm not trying to go viral. I'm not trying to like get everyone listening to them. I just want people to actually listen and know what people think, because this is like my first time actually like making a foray into music, right? So I think it's more important to actually make sure that the product, I don't think of music as a product, but just like in that sense, is actually solid. And the feedback has been really great. So many people, I think one exciting thing actually is I know that I for a long time I avoided the idea that I was making pop music, because it's like people have weird ideas of pop. And even though I know that even the pop I make is not classic pop, because pop has lost its form these days, and it's just like it can be anything, which is exciting. But one thing I really love is that people recognize it as pop music and they're excited by it. Like some people are like, "Oh my God, I've never heard like this kind of music from a Nigerian artist, and this kind of music. Like this is the kind of music I like. I never thought I would hear a Nigerian artist making that kind of music." So that has been.
That was the same feel I felt when I listened to Black SUV. I was like, I remember just listening to your demo. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know this is the song I didn't know I actually needed. Those songs I never thought I needed today. Yeah. So that was the feel I got from listening to Black SUV. But when creating your music, did you have a particular audience in mind? Because for some people, they tend to put lots of hide different messages inside their stories and they're not so plain. While some people just leave the stories out there, once you listen to it, you get. So, did you have a particular type of audience in mind when creating this music?
Well, so the interesting thing is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I just felt like my music wouldn't be for everyone, and I knew that people who listen to pop music would be interested in my music. I also knew that sonically I was very inspired, especially for a song like Black SUV. I was inspired by synthesizer, which is like the soundtrack of my life, honestly. So this synth pop wave was very popular in the 80s, and amongst other things, it was also just very like there's a sense of freedom and like being young and free and liberal, I guess. So I guess that it like people who are like, I don't want to like specify a demographic because that's not the point. I think that like I said, writing about desire is the idea of being frustrated with the lover, with the partner, and just like you're not giving me as much as I would like is something that everyone has felt. So even though I feel like maybe queer people might be able to, especially like with games, for instance, the context for that Black Mirror episode that it was inspired by was very like it played with sexual and gender even like norms. So yeah, I like to do stuff like that. I think that it's interesting. I think those things are realistic. So but that's not like the primary population that I was just making music. I didn't actually intend to put them out. I just wrote them because I was hoping someone else would want to sing them, but I couldn't find anyone to do that. And so I was just like, sure, why not? But I didn't come into it feeling like, okay, these are the people I'm making music for. I think more than anyone, I guess I made them for myself, just to prove that I could do it, I guess.
Ask about, you now have more mediums to tell stories, and when you were talking, when you were answering the previous question, you talked about telling stories for queer people, and then you moved from not just sticking it to that demographic. Yeah, if I'm right. So, don't you? I don't know how to put the question. So, how important is representation with your music?
I mean, representation
does it not come with certain. Yeah, I understand the representation. Does it not come with some form of pressure?
Definitely does come with pressure. But I don't know. Like, if you know me, I avoid like unnecessary pressures. So representation in terms of the music, I value of representation, and I think the representation shows up when you're making like artistic statements. But I don't have an agenda for representation in my music. Like, it's most important that the music is just music. and then the music is human, and the music is about a truly human experience, whatever it might be. So I don't try to
All
like,
right. So
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if music is something that I do going forward, I'm with it. But right now, I just take at this point.
so do you see it as something you I was going to ask the question, do you see it as something that you do going forward? Because now when they introduce you at festivals, when they introduce you, they're going to introduce you as Logan the Logan the poet and Logan the musician. So do you see yourself doing that going
No,
forward?
that's the
More
thing. I'm
music?
really hoping that doesn't happen.
Why?
No, I think that I've already established myself on a path towards music, towards writing. And I think that even making music is still me as a writer. I'm trying to establish myself. I think my thing with writing is to tell myself that I don't have to be stuck writing any one thing. I can just write whatever I want. I can write a film, I can write a song, I can write a play, whatever. Um, but I don't think I'm a singer. Like even though I sang 2 songs, I don't think of myself as a singer. I think I would identify more as a songwriter than as a singer. Like I sing for myself, but I don't want to sing for anyone. I don't really want to sing for anyone else. Um, so yeah, I'm always going to be writing songs. So songwriter works better than musician, I guess.
What are the two most important people, if you're to
Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes. Apparently, it's on Shazam already. I'm still waiting for more updates. Actually, that's why I was delayed the last time, because like my distributor, some platforms take a little longer than others for the music to actually be approved. So yeah, but so far we have like Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Shazam, and iTunes. Yeah,
no question, man. You're
I
blown
know.
and I love it. So all the best with your music, and everyone should be streaming Black
Yeah, thank you,
SUV
Desmond.
and Game.
I hope.
I don't want to streamline anybody's thoughts, but just enjoy both music, Black SUV and games.